This is the Skin in the Game VC podcast, hosted by Tom Wallace, entrepreneur turned venture capitalist and the managing partner at Florida Funders. You'll learn from the best about investing in early stage tech companies, so you too can gain the confidence and find the tools that help you succeed as an angel investor. Are you ready to get some skin in the game?
Hello and welcome. My name's Tom Wallace, and I'm one of the partners at Florida Funders. And so excited for you to join us today. I also have with me here Saxon Baum.
Great to see everybody. Number two here with Tom. Saxon Baum here, partner at Florida Funders. Happy to be here as well.
Yeah, we have a great pod, we think, today with a wonderful guest who I was reading his bio last night, and I'm super excited to learn more about Joe Bayen, and we'll introduce here Bayen shortly. But Sax and I always like to catch up a little bit on what's going on in the world and share kind of some of our thoughts from a venture capital standpoint. So I don't know. I thought maybe I'd start with who can not talk about AI today. It's all we hear about. And, the big push in AI right now, or the big players, are obviously Google with Bard and ChatGPT and OpenAI with Sam Altman. And it kind of, as I think back on technology over the last 4 or 5 decades I've been doing this, all the major disruptive technologies that have come along have always been from startups. I mean, the Zuckerbergs and the Bill Gates and the Steve Jobs that really came out of nowhere and nobody knew who the hell they were. This disruptive technology, which has been a long time in coming, arguably, that doesn't seem to be the case. What are your thoughts on that, Sax?
It's interesting. We always talk about this. This is big companies that have the resources to pay for, in my opinion, the GPU and CPU that's needed to run these big AI models. So I think that the overall AI world right now is still so expensive to build product on that on the smaller front, with smaller, more emerging companies, we're seeing just off the shelf using these products as kind of the back end, but we're not seeing true, in my opinion, innovation on the early stage side yet. We're really just seeing improvements to current businesses. And I think it's because of cost. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, it's a good point. I know what you're saying. I thought about that because the GPU processing power and NVIDIA chips and all that are so expensive. Supercomputers, because these big language models, there's big data involved. There's a lot of processing power, but it's all in the cloud now. So everybody has access to it, I would think. And I still, in my heart of hearts, because I'm a scrappy entrepreneur, love the little guy, love the underdog, guys like you're going to meet in a second. I still hold hope that we've got somebody some kid out in a garage somewhere or in his dorm room working on something that's going to blow past all these guys. But who knows?
That's what we hope, right? And do you think that a lot of the talent is still caught up in the big companies and they have yet to take the golden handcuffs off and really go and start their business? Do you think there's something there?
Yeah, probably. But, there's more and more talent coming on board. We have a portfolio company, as you know, Quant Hub, that this is what they do. They train data scientists, so more and more of these young people are going to get trained and up to speed. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah, I do my quarterly update after the PitchBook data comes out. So just want to bring out some of the talking points from that I put together. Sure. By the way, we're going to put that link in the pod. So if you're interested in reading the entire piece, we'll have that in there. IPO Market, there were 2 large tech IPOs, Instacart and Klaviyo, which to me showed that the IPO market was really kind of opening up. People were testing the waters with Kava. Obviously, that was a fairly successful IPO, not in technology. But what since has happened is...
Hummus, though. Hummus is important.
Yeah, it is very important. Hey, that there's one thing that the Arabs and the Jews can get along around. It's hummus.
It's hummus.
That we know.
We need more hummus in the world, then. God knows.
In the world. But since those 2 companies have gone public, the stocks have gotten crushed. My thought then is a lot of companies are now holding off to go public because they had an initial pop, these 2 businesses, and now they've really gone killed. Happy and welcome to get your thoughts on that. What do you think there? Is the IPO window still closed? Is there a glimmer? Are we seeing it opening up? What are your thoughts?
Well, a couple thoughts. First of all, you have companies and we're an investor in this company. Klarna, I'll mention as an example, which is a European company. We're an indirect investor. They bought one of our companies, and we ended up with equity in Klarna. Klarna was valued at $40 billion.
Yeah, 45, I think it was.
45 at one point. Now it's down to like 8.
Yep.
So if they IPO, those numbers really don't work. So you still have that problem out there.
Yeah.
It can solve some liquidity problems, but it doesn't do anything for a lot of their investors. I think we have a ways to go. I think this was a test. We're in the venture capital world, and you know this as well as anybody. We're still seeing less deals getting done, less investors, less money. Even though there's a lot of money out there, a lot of dry powder, we're not seeing as much being put to work. And when we are, it's at lower valuations, which is good for us as investors.
Yeah.
We have dry powder. So that's my couple of thoughts.
Yeah, and to build on that, the second point that I had to bring up was, once again, quarter over quarter, deal volume is down. Deal size has stayed fairly similar in terms of how much money is going into deals, not from a volume standpoint, but from a dollar standpoint. And then valuations are fluctuating a little bit down as well. The reason I think that is, with those other two stats not moving that much, is really because the best deals are still getting done, but not as many deals as getting done. And I think that Florida Funders has been the same way. If you look back at the last few years, we were very active doing a lot of deals, where the past year we've only done several deals. So we've really, as Ryan Whittemore, our partner, says, we've really only done those A+ deals. And so I think that's something interesting that we're still seeing. The volume by no means has opened up.
Yeah, and I would attribute that it all comes back to the public stock market. Yep. And the trickle-down effect. I mean, the S&P I just saw is up 14% for this year, which is totally 7 stocks.
Yep.
It's the 7, Magnificent 7, whatever they call them, NVIDIA, Microsoft, Meta, Google, et cetera, Apple. So if you take those 7 stocks out, the S&P is flat for the year. So that means investors have a lot less gains. Their portfolio has probably maybe gone down or stayed the same or gone up a little bit. So they don't have that excess dollars to put back into venture capital and other things. So I do think there's a direct correlation. I think there's still a lot of people out there that think that we're potentially most likely heading into some sort of a recession, whether it be a soft landing or maybe a little bit more than that. So, it's going to be interesting to see, but, it will turn around. These things never last forever. And when it does, that'll be good for everybody.
Yeah, and I feel like, you and I have been preaching this for a while over the last, call it, I'd say 8 months or so. It's a good time to be investing in venture if you have the liquidity, if you have the capital. To your point, valuations are down. Great companies still need funding. They're still going to get funded. So if you do have capital and you do have liquidity, should be thinking about investing in venture right now.
So when you think about that, we're in the middle of this crypto winter thing. What's your thesis on the crypto winter? Is it a crypto winter? Is crypto dead, never coming back?
You lived through. I'm much younger than you, obviously.
Most people
and
are.
And happy early birthday. Your birthday tomorrow.
Oh, thank you.
But I think that this reminds me, and you lived through this, of really, the 2000 bubble, where the best companies are going to succeed. The best companies in crypto are going to succeed, and the majority of companies are going to fail. So if you can pick the right companies and you can find the right teams with the right business models, I think you're going to be able to create generational wealth. Have we completely seen the fallout of crypto yet? I don't think we're there yet. But if you have the right team, you have the right founder, inherently they're going to be successful, in my opinion.
I think it'll all be done when the FTX trial's over and Sam Bankman-Fried's in jail somewhere. No, I'm kidding. But the trial is interesting. I am following it. Seems like his people are throwing him under the bus pretty darn fast.
And I think most recently his girlfriend even threw him under the bus. So then you really know it's bad news.
Well, it's his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good point.
If it was his girlfriend, it might be a different story.
That's
There's a big difference.
Point.
All right, well, let's get started.
Go ahead, Tom. Introduce our guest.
With today's pod. Really excited about our guest today, Joe Bayen. And I'm going to let Joe really introduce himself. I'm going to give you a little bit, but then I'm going to turn it over to Joe. We want to hear, obviously, from you, but really interesting background. This is a University of Miami grad. Sorry about your football team the last two weekends, by the way.
I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah. Chelsea from our office is a diehard Miami fan. I feel bad for her. But also a former athlete and track and field scholarship to the University of Miami. And, not from the United States. You're going to notice a little bit of an accent from Joe. And he's from Cameroon.
That's right.
And we want to hear how you made it to the U.S. and all that. And presently building a really cool company called Grow Credit that Florida Funders is an investor in. And we're very excited about it. You're going to hear more about that from Joe as well. So with that, Joe, I'll turn it over to you. And I have to admit, I did not know where Cameroon is. So
he asked me that yesterday. Where is Cameroon?
I'm thinking it's in Africa, but help us with that and tell us a little bit about how you got to be come to the United States and when.
Well, yeah, Cameroon is in the central west part of Africa, right below Nigeria. So and I was born there in 1976. I'm ancient, almost 50. I can't believe it. And I moved to the United States as a 3-year-old, raised in Paris, raised in France. So yes, that's why. And I've been here for 26, 27 years, but the French accent is still anchored in me. It doesn't leave. Raised in Paris, and as a senior in high school, I always wanted to come study here in the United States. So I decided to run track, as a senior in high school, and I was fortunate that I was pretty fast, and I ended up finishing 5th at the French Junior Nationals, and that's pretty much how I booked my ticket out here. I ended up with a full track and field scholarship at the University of Miami, where I graduated in international finance and marketing, and then I ran for Cameroon actually for a couple of years, and but unfortunately I hurt my Achilles tendon in 2004, right before the 2004 Olympics in Greece. So that was it for me. I mean, I was not going to win. I was.
You were going to win the gold medal.
I was just a decent runner, nothing special, but enough to give me a D1 scholarship though. So that helped me get to college. But
Joe, real quick, just wanted to ask you, how do you pick the University of Miami? Was that your top school? Did you always want to go there? What's the story there?
So how long do we have? Because that's the most interesting story ever. But I might, if you want to, this is the most interesting story ever.
Go. Give us the short version now.
Yeah, abbreviated version.
I'm going to make it a brief version. So initially, so after I ran really fast in France, I met this amazing coach, which was the fastest, best coach in the world back in the days. His name was John Smith. I met him in Paris, and I told him, hey, I want to come to the United States and run for you. He told me to meet with him at UCLA, and I traveled initially to UCLA. Met with their coach there, and then they told me that because I didn't have any English degree or English paperwork or whatnot, they wanted me to go to Santa Monica College first before transferring to UCLA. So I ended up, going to Santa Monica College, and my coach there was actually Tommy Smith, the 1968 Olympic champion, and coached me for about a year, and then I ran fast enough, to actually get a scholarship at UCLA, but something went wrong with the paperwork. Long story, I was supposed to go there, and they told me that I just couldn't. For whatever reason related to my transcript, I just couldn't make it out there. And I was devastated, because my life was here in LA, so I had no idea what I would do. And I was lucky that actually a gentleman in academics in Miami traveled to Santa Monica College to meet with foreign students, and he asked me, they asked me they told me about Miami, that it was a great school, and they gave me a sticker that I left on my fridge. So on my way back to my home in LA, and I was completely devastated, and I saw a sticker that says University of Miami, and I called a friend of mine, and he told me, hey, what's the school out there? Is it a good school? He told me, yes, that's a pretty good school. You should check it out. You should call them. So I called the coach, and he picked up the phone. I told him, hey, my name is Joe Bayen. I run really fast here in Santa Monica College. Do you have a scholarship? And he told me, well, you're lucky. We have one scholarship left, just one. But, you have to talk to the sprint coach. I don't know if he's going to give it to you because, I mean, there's a lot of competition to get it. Say, transfer me to the sprint coach. I picked up the phone and I told him, hey, my name is Joe Bayen. My coach is Thomas Smith. He said, what? I'm best friends with Thomas Smith's coach. Oh, and by the way, I'm from Canada and I speak French. Oh my God.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be.
The stars aligned.
That's how I ended up. That's how I ended up at Miami. I just
love it.
Much.
Yeah. That
That's
seems like it was.
Fast story.
That seems like
I tried to make it fast.
Yeah, that seems like it was destined. And so Miami, you studied international business. Is that what you said?
Yes, international finance and marketing.
So somewhere along the line, you get in this whole credit thing, right? What interested you in people's credit?
Gables is pretty far away from the ocean, and I'm from Paris. My entire goal was to be at the ocean as much as possible. So I decided to go purchase a car, and this one I found out that my credit score was terrible, and that's because I just made a couple of late payments. So my score was maybe 580 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And well, the salesman had a field day because he could charge me as much as he could, back then. So essentially, he ended up. The car ended up costing me $330 a month. Keep in mind, I was a student athlete. My stipend was $1,000 a month. So that was just a huge payment that I had to take on. But guess what? I thought that, I'm just going to, get the car and find a way to make those payments. And what I did, I ended up starting a company that I called University 4.0 Shopping. And that was pretty much Uber Eats before Uber Eats. And what I did, I basically I created some flyers, spread it around campus, and I ended up delivering fast food to students on campus for $5 a pop. So that's how I was able to actually make my car payments. There was no NIL back then, so
So you had that early entrepreneurial bug. The entrepreneurial bug in you started it very, very early.
Exactly. So that's how I was able to make my payments, and actually making those car payments actually helped me build my credit as well. So that's how that story started. It took me about 5 years, to rebuild my credit, to a good state. But that left a bitter taste in my mouth. So fast forward to 2009 first, where I bootstrapped freeappaday.com.
Oh yeah, tell us about that.
Because this was the #1 app in the world, right?
#1 app in the world. It was huge. We ended up with 12 million installs, and we worked with EA, Zynga, Groupon, you name it. Anyone who's anyone between 2009 and 2013 worked with us. And again, 12 million users. We generated $18 million.
What did the product do, Joe? What exactly did it do?
I'm sorry.
What did the product do?
Oh, I'm sorry, the product. So free app a day, well, it's just like Grow Credit, right? Free app a day, we were giving paid apps for free every day. So what happened was developers, the App Store was different back in 2009, and you didn't have in-app purchases back then. So it was very hard to actually promote your app in the App Store. So what we did, developers made their apps for free for a couple of days, on the free app a day website and app, and we would send a push notification to 12 million people across the world. And within literally 5 to 7 hours, the app will land in the top 10 in the App Store, and often #1 in the App Store, generating millions of installs in the process. What was beautiful about the model is the fact that we help kids with no money, get the best paid apps for free. And we were also helping indie developers who just didn't have a huge budget to advertise their app, to promote their apps, literally for free through us, because we had a rev share type of business. We were generating 60%. They were generating 60% of the revenue. It was a rev share, 40 for free app a day, 60 for the developers, for the next 30 days. So essentially, if an app was generating, let's say, $100 a day before running a free app a day campaign, and all of a sudden they were making $1,000 a day afterwards, we would split, the 964. Great business model. We worked with, our biggest day was actually, $75,000 in a single day. That was Glue Mobile. And we did that many times with them. So it was just an amazing business model. It was a cash cow. We were just like 10 employees. And it was an amazing business until Apple decided to change the rules of the App Store.
I heard that story before.
They changed to prevent apps from using push notification to promote other apps. And all of a sudden, we went from generating $500,000 to $1 million a month, literally, to zero.
Oh, geez.
So
I hate when that happens as an investor.
That was very tough. It was devastating, but listen, I own the vast majority, 80% of the company. I did very well for myself, and I lived the American dream, right? I went born in Cameroon, generating millions of dollars, living in the great life. So, it was a great experience. It's still tough for me because as a competitor, I like to be number one and I like to stay number one. And the fact that I was basically discarded from the App Store was pretty terrible. But,
so did you just shut the business down, or were you able to do anything?
Yeah, we had to shut the business down. We had to shut the business down, but it was a blessing in disguise. Because I went on to work as an EIR at Science Inc., the VC fund out here in Santa Monica, famous for having.
Just so people, EIR is Entrepreneur in Residence, just to clarify.
Yeah.
Go ahead, keep going.
Private seed-funded Dollar Shave Club, and now Liquid Death. A very popular fund, and they didn't know anything about acquisition on mobile, so that's why they signed me up to assist them. And what happened in late 2014, you had Venmo, Acorns, Robinhood, and all those fintech apps that started to become very popular.
Yeah.
And this is when I started to think about how can I leverage fintech to help my younger self. So that's really what was going on my mind. And this is a great technology. I mean, I would have loved to have, a fintech app, to help me, to teach me about credit and to help me build credit. And I had a eureka moment, and this is when I initially started Lenny Credit, Lenny credit.com in January of 2015. So we were talking about a 9-year-long journey. So this being a long journey.
Right, so I got to ask you this: where's the name Lenny come from? Lenny Credit.
It was just
Lenny Kravitz.
Lending. It was lending, and then. And then I was a big fan of Lenny Kravitz.
Oh,
there you go. Hey, that's what creativity.
That's what
Who doesn't like Lenny Kravitz?
Yeah, that's great.
All right.
That's great. So so Lenny Credit turned into Grow Credit, or two separate businesses?
Lenny Credit turned into Grow Credit. I mean, so what happened with Lenny Credit, right? Listen, I bootstrapped Lenny Credit, with all the funds that I generated from free app a day. But imagine, bootstrapping a lending business is completely nuts. But guess what? I just thought there was a need, that there was a lot of students, Gen Z, millennials, that would need the product. And I thought there would be a win at the end of that journey. So I went all in, and the Bank of Joe was actually financing the loan. So it was great until it wasn't great anymore. We had, in 2017, we ran out of cash. It was
there was a run at the Bank of Joe.
So it was a tough one. Actually, it involved a story involved Mark Cuban, and I can tell you exactly what happened. I was talking to Mark Cuban for 2 months between February and March, of 2017. He was on the verge of making an investment and investing in Grow, and literally on my birthday, he pulled out of the deal. And because he pulled out of the deal, everybody else pulled out of the deal. We went from having probably $8 million in a combination of equity and debt invested to zero. And the reason it happened was because of a lack of experience, in the sense that instead of trusting my instincts, I trusted, back in the days, my finance lead who had more experience, and what she did was, she wanted me to have a little bit more equity on a Series A round. I was like, why? The deal is done. It doesn't make any sense. It's done. We shouldn't change anything, especially at the last minute. But she just really wanted me to reach a certain level at Series A. It would be better for the Series A round. In my mind, I was like, you haven't even closed the Series C round. It doesn't make any sense. But she had decades of experience making those deals. And me, I only had my instincts that was saying, like, this is a terrible idea. But guess what? I was fearful. I was scared. I was scared of making a mistake. So I elected to let her go forward with her idea. And by the way, we were talking about maybe a 0.5% difference.
So Cuban walked over. Is that why Cuban walked over that?
Mark Cuban found out about it. Said,
he's my least favorite guy on Shark Tank. So yeah,
I'm
and he's a fellow Pittsburgher, so we have that in common. Anyway.
He said, "I'm out." I'm just like, "Hey, no." And I was trying to explain to him what she was trying to do. He said, "No, I'm out." He said, "We can go back to the previous deal. I don't care." He said, "No, I'm out." So
you're better off without him.
I went from having $8 million on my bank account to 0. It was the most devastating, thing ever. And I was talking to my CTO and I was telling him that, I recovered from a lot of different things in my life, but I don't think I can recover from that one. Well, that lasted about 24 hours.
And then you were back in the saddle.
So your self-pity party lasted 24 hours, and you're like,
24 hours. I'm fighting.
I love entrepreneurs. I love it.
That's what it's like. You get punched in the face, you get right back up.
That's right.
100%.
Next day.
You go get drunk, then you get up the next day.
So based on that, then we got very lucky. We had a gentleman named Andy Chase who landed on my birthday. He was on my birthday. He was at the birthday, and I told him the story. And he ended up, to make the story a little bit shorter, he ended up 6 weeks later cutting me a $200,000 check just to give me a little bit of breathing room. And 20 minutes later, a miracle happened. A Chinese group out of the blue that I met a year before on Money 2020. I met the guy for literally 10 seconds. I was a friend of mine, told me, you should meet him. We exchanged LinkedIn, and then he reached out on that day, the day where Andy signed a $200,000 check. 15 minutes later, it was on a Saturday, I received an email from that gentleman saying, we want to invest in Lenny Credit, fly to San Francisco tomorrow to meet our team. I was like, hallelujah. I fly out there on Sunday, meet with 6 Chinese investors. I spent 30 minutes pitching them, Lenny Credit. After 30 minutes, they paused me. They said, you did a great job, but you're not going to win that war. We want you to pivot, and we want you to launch a bike share program. I was like, what are we talking about? I'm a lender.
A bike share?
What is that?
So listen, bike sharing is huge in China. It's going to come big in the United States. And I think that you have the tenacity, to make it happen. We have a bike manufacturer that's going to provide you with the bike and the technology. And the only thing that we want you to do is to build the app and launch in one market. And we will invest $1.2 million, $600,000 to get started, and $600,000 when you launch, in one market. And I was like, all right, that's talk about a curveball. All right, let me think about it, and I come back to you with what I have in mind. So I went home, and what I did, I stuck with the vision, and I merged both business model, and I created Lenny Bike, which was a subscription-based bike share program that helps students establish or build credit. The tagline was ride a bike, build credit. And what we did, we extended a $300 line to students, and they would pay us back an increment of $20 or $30, and we would report those payments to all 3 credit bureaus. So that's what I pitched to the Chinese group. They loved it. They invested the first tranche. Fast forward to June 2018, we were supposed to launch at Santa Monica College. You see, back.
It all comes back full circle there. Yeah.
And then disaster struck. A week before we launched, Andy Chase sent me a prospectus. He sent me a PR, which announced that Bird scooters, just raised $300 million. And then a week later, Line Bike raised $330 million. We're dead. We can't compete. I reached out to the Chinese investors, just like, hey, this is over for us. And they wanted to invest a second tranche. It's like, no, we can't survive. That is it. And they agree with us, and we folded the model. But I realized that we were able to leverage a subscription model, to help consumers establish a bill credit. And this is when luck struck again, where I had one of my neighbor, from literally across the building. I was meeting him and on the street, and I was telling him, hey, I'm thinking about leveraging, subscriptions, to build credit. I just shared with him some of the model that I had in mind. And he told me, let me think about it. And what he did, he told me that Marqeta would be the best platform to help us achieve our goals, because they pivoted, I believe, a year before towards launching virtual MasterCard. And I was fortunate that one of our advisors, Peter Mansfield, was a founding member at Marqeta. And he made an introduction at the highest level. And 6 months later, in November of 2018, Grow Credit was born, as the first MasterCard that is strictly dedicated to paying subscriptions and cell phone plans. So that's how we ended with Grow.
And how many people have this MasterCard, the Grow Credit MasterCard today?
How many people? So we have about, we have about 70,000, closing on 70,000, active users. We just completed a round led by USA that we announced actually last week. In that round,
congratulations, Joe.
Scale the business.
Yeah, great.
And it was also meant to actually launch the Grow API that we just announced today. The Grow API is a game changer. It enables banks to essentially embed Grow as a white label solution within their app or website to provide, Grow memberships to their audiences, to their users, enabling them to essentially become a financial inclusion platform. So that's Grow to Go. That's the white label tool that is reserved for banks and financial institutions. And the most exciting product that we announced today is Pay with Grow. And Pay with Grow is basically PayPal for subscriptions that build credits. And it's a completely novel product. Essentially, we are enabling subscription companies to offer a credit builder product as a method of payment at checkout. So essentially, they are helping their users build credit with their own subscription. So now, instead of essentially signing up and adding your credit card or paying with PayPal, now you can immediately pay with Grow. And consumers don't need to actually type in, credit cards credentials. The platform works instantly. As soon as they sign up, the payment is done, and they start reporting the payments to the credit bureaus on a monthly basis. Done.
And then will you have to partner with retailers on that, Joe, or is that through the banking relationships on the API side?
So on the API side, so we are partnering directly with subscription companies, because the subscription companies are integrating us, as a payment solutions at checkout. On the banking front, they are essentially integrating us as a full white label solution. So basically, we are in the background, but it's completely white label. For white label, I mean, only the branding and the logos of a bank are visible. We're just basically operating on the background. Is that the question that you were asking?
Yeah, no, that's what I was asking. And then on the retail side, if you're going through Netflix and you're checking out, how do you get on a platform like that?
Oh, do you mean how do we partner with them?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
So no, for that, it's just direct. No, so right now we are supporting over 120 subscriptions right now, and all cell phone plans, by the way. So in terms of, we have direct relationships with some subscriptions, but we are going to engage proactively with Netflix, Disney Plus, and whatnot to integrate Grow as a checkout solution. And the reason why we can do it seamlessly is because we already have the data validating that users with, let's say, Netflix, who have like 15,000 users paying Netflix, they boosted their credit score by an average of 48 points over the following 12 months. And not only, and the retention rate has been extremely high. So we are all the data that validates that integrating, the Grow API will be valuable from a retention standpoint and from a revenue standpoint for all our subscription platforms. So it's pretty much the platform is there and the model is already proven, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
What you said you just finished a round. How big was the round, and who did you say led it?
It was a $10 million round. It was led by USAA. So the beauty with USAA is the fact that they are mission driven. They love.
This is the insurance company that does the military, right? USAA, is that?
Yes.
I
Okay.
think they're headquartered
banking,
in Tampa, right?
Banking
they're-
solutions, insurance solutions for the militaries, and essentially they saw the light with Grow API. One of the key driver, towards the investment was, the prospect and the potential of the Grow API, that will enable them and any financial institutions to basically, cater, for the militaries, and on top of that,
Are they going to implement the product themselves?
That's
a great strategic investor. Congratulations.
They have 14 million users, right? That's what we're in discussion, to have a full integration. And we're also talking to a variety of financial institutions as well. For instance, we landed number 29 in the App Store about 2 weeks ago. And that's thanks to a partnership, with a financial institution partner that introduced Grow, to their entire audience. And that led, of course, since we have a plan that's completely free of charge, they were promoting the free plan to the audience, and it landed up with our highest credit card issued count day ever. And that's a model that we're planning on replicating with a variety of financial institutions. But the model also validated why, integrating the Grow API, via Pay with Grow or Grow to Go made sense for financial institutions, because they see that, when embedded, there's less friction. The email with, because with email, you're always going to have some friction. When it's fully embedded, zero friction, and it helps financial institution transform into financial health tool. They are really caring. They are demonstrating that they care for their audience by providing them with a product that will have a major positive impact in their lives by helping them, reduce their interest rates, especially in the current high interest rate environment, inflationary environment. Now they are delivering a tool that minimizes, the impact of high interest rates on their audience. So they're basically being the good guys.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Hey, John, so where do you see Grow Credit in 5 years?
Listen, our goal is to be, really the premier platform for consumers to establish a bill of credit. Our goal is to be embedded in literally every single financial institutions, to be embedded with every single subscriptions out there. And we're also launching, yes, this is an exclusive here. We're announcing it, next week, Grow Publishers. It's also the third product of our API suites, which enables any websites to embed Grow, to monetize their traffic. Some credit repair companies are already reached out to embed the product. So the idea for us to have essentially Grow pervasive everywhere. Any website.
Love it.
Yeah, I love it. Big vision. Big vision.
I got one more question, I think, and really this is something that we always talk to our companies about is investor updates. And one thing that you are the best at in our portfolio, I will say, is giving investor updates every Friday. I know at noon, I'm going to get an email from you talking about that week. Where did this come from? What drives you to create those investor updates? And then what's the success that you've seen by producing those updates on a weekly basis?
You know what I love? I love that you said that we're the number one.
Out of 100 companies.
Out of 100 companies, yeah.
100 companies.
Yeah.
You communicate with us more often and
listen, what we did at Grow, we developed an anti-fragile culture. And anti-fragile, I recommend everyone with the audience to read the book Anti-Fragile by Nassim Taleb. And really quick, it has 3 states. It talks about 3 critical states One is state is fragile, the other one is robust, and the last one is anti-fragile. And with a fragile state, when you stress the system breaks down. It just breaks. With a robust system, when you stress the system, it just stays the same. And with an anti-fragile system, when you put a lot of stress on the system, it also breaks down, but it comes back stronger. Okay? That's the equivalent of just going to the gym, working out really hard, breaking down the muscles, and then coming back stronger, a few days later. That's the type of culture that we built. And the report that we're generating on a weekly basis, it's part of that culture. By demonstrating our transparency to our user base, demonstrating our relentlessness to our investors as well, and it has enabled us to really handle all types of shock. Because anything that happens, anything negative that happens at the company, we are so transparent that nothing is basically hidden under the rug. There's nothing in the closet.
I've noticed
really
that about your
open.
updates. They're not only frequent, they're also, you give us the good news and the bad news. It's
And
not
the
just
bad news.
all the good news, which founders tend to just give us
A
all
lot
the
of
good
times
news.
it's only good news, yeah.
We only hear about the bad news when it gets really bad.
Or when they really need us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. The power of doing this, meaning embracing stress, embracing the bad news, and really sharing the bad news, guess what? It forces us to solve the problem by the very next week. So there's nothing that stays, because it's so transparent. We have, let's say, our churn rate went a lot higher than usual. Guess what? Because it goes out publicly, our entire team now is hyper focused towards finding the solutions that we minimize churn quickly. Transparency leads to speed, a speed of execution, and that's what transparency is so powerful. That's why being transparent is a positive momentum enhancer. Period. So
Love it.
essentially, our
Yeah.
advisors, our investors are helping us because we are accountable to our investors. So they're helping us become a lot more efficient. Okay, so that's why transparency is very important. And also, we're leveraging Frank Slutman, the CEO at Snowflakes. He has a concept that's called high focus, high quality, high speed. And that's a concept that we're leveraging consistently to execute. I mean, for instance, we needed to replace, our VP of finance, within 2 months because he was going on a sabbatical. And we were able to, first of all, I had to pause. Not only we had to replace our VP of finance, but we also had to replace our VP of compliance. All that within 2 months. The VP of compliance, she was retiring, and the VP of finance, again, was having a third kid, so he was going on a sabbatical. And what I did, in terms of high focus, I stopped everything that I was doing to just focus on hiring. That's number one. In terms of high quality, we are fortunate to have the best advisors in the business. We have Brian Hughes, who was a chief risk officer at Discover, who joined us. We have Daniel Eckert, who was a top executive at Walmart as well. And we have Yazi Samimi, who was the SVP of growth at Truebill, which was acquired by Market for $1.3 billion. So we have the best advisors on the planet. So that's our top quality there. So I was able to turn around, ask our advisors, hey, who do you have in your network that can really replace, our two executives? And that's a great quality. And within a week, they came back with an amazing candidate. And one of them, actually, Jeff Anderson, spent 35 years, at Discover, and he just joined us within 6 weeks, as now our chief compliance officer. So high focus, that's all I did. High quality, amazing advisors, and of course, there's amazing talent that are being recruited at the same time. And high speed, within 6 weeks, you just have the best talent fully onboarded, on the team. So that's one of the concepts that we are leveraging a lot as well. And finally, we are really good at curbing our enthusiasm. We are really good at
Larry
managing
David.
the stress.
Curb your
because we're
enthusiasm.
able to do both, right? Meaning we are, we believe that the companies that performs the best are the ones that are able to flip negatives into positives really quickly. And that's what we're really good at. Every time we have a struggle and a challenge, we're looking at finding where is the solution. We don't just get down on ourselves. Where's the solution? Where is the opportunity? That's why the book called The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. I highly recommend it because we are leveraging it a lot. So we are really good at flipping negatives into positives fast. And in terms of curbing your enthusiasm, that's the best story for you, right? We are helping each other not to make sure that we don't get too excited. Because you go from, when you have a successful story, when you have any successful outcome, you go from happiness to confidence, to overconfidence, to sloppiness, to disaster. So what we do, we're just curbing that enthusiasm as quickly as possible. So when we see each other being a little bit too excited for too long, we're just calling each other out. Hey, slow down a little bit, calm down. And that's really a way to remain focused on the mission. Otherwise, we can, drink our own Kool-Aid, very dangerous, right? And so, I have one beautiful example for you. There is Simon Sinek, he was mentioning that there's something called, he was mentioning on one of his shows on YouTube, I think, Leaders Eat Last. He was mentioning something amazing. He said that basically Mother Nature controls us with 4 chemicals, right? He called it EXO: endorphin, dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin, right? And he was sharing that with the first 3, they are very addictive. You get very, very addictive. They're dangerous. And with oxytocin, it actually reduces all the addictiveness from all the other components, right? And he was sharing that oxytocin, you don't get addicted to it. And you know what? I beg to differ. You can get addicted to oxytocin. In our case, we have so many beautiful stories. We have one guy who just came out of prisons. He had no credit scores. He used Grow Credit, the free plan. He was able to get to 700 score within a year. And he posted his comment on review on the App Store, and that made us feel so good.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, you're
to the point that we were petrified. I was petrified because I said, "Oh my God, we're having a true impact." But guess what? That feeling for 3 days, I just couldn't perform right. I was very mesmerized by it, and I was like, it was too good.
Yeah.
And but guess what? We learned that you can get addicted to serving. You can get addicted to that feeling, and it's so good to curb your enthusiasm.
Yeah, that makes sense. Joe, we're running out of time, so I'm going to cut you short here. But that's really good stuff, and I'm sure our audience is enjoying hearing that. We really appreciate you being with us today. Your story's great. Very excited for Grow Credit and to continue to watch your success and where you're going to take this and
continue to grow.
Yeah, continue to grow, and we'll be watching and supporting you and cheering you on any way we can. So, Sax, anything you want to share?
All good, Joe. Thank you so much. It was great to see you. Keep on building a kick-ass business, and congratulations on the launch this morning.
All right, thank you so much, and thank you for your support, and thank you for everyone at Florida Funders who supported our vision, mission, who invested in us. It was really hard to get our seed round, and we are really thankful that you placed a bet on us, and I can guarantee you that it's going to Grow will be your best investment ever.
Well, thanks.
Love to hear that. Thanks, Joe.
We're grateful to be along for the ride and excited to see the future again and your continued success. So thanks so much.
Thank you.
To wrap up with our audience, I hope you've enjoyed our show today with Joe and Saxon and myself. FloridaFunders.com. We have a couple different ways you can get involved. If you're a founder and you're interested in funding, we have a quick application process on our website. We're always looking for the next great Grow Credit. That takes you about 5 minutes. Go out to FloridaFunders.com, fill out an application. On the other hand, if you're an investor and you're interested in investing in great companies like Grow Credit, we'd love to have you join us. Again, go to FloridaFunders.com. There's a whole section of the website dedicated to investors, and you can reach out to us, and we'll be in touch and happy to get you involved. So thanks so much.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks for spending your time with Skin in the Game VC today. If you want to learn more about investing in early-stage tech like a venture capitalist, be sure to visit the Florida Funders website at floridafunders.com. Join our angel network at no cost and get access to Florida Funders' VC-vetted investment opportunities in the next great breakout tech companies.